Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. It's my privilege to present to you about what's going on in terms of supply chain infrastructure developments in Southeast Asia, in ASEAN. We've got a project termed Smart Growth Connect. I'll spend the next few minutes to ascertain you what's the background that's accelerating all the changes in supply chain, trade, as well as infrastructure. And then I'll also share with you what's important about the innovation in multimodal logistics, and I'll share with you the development in the two superport projects that's now in place. As we all know, because we are here, that ASEAN is really the center of growth, the place to be. According to the International Labour Organization, we are going to be the third largest labor force country by 2030, and the middle class population will grow from 24% to 50%. And at the same time, we are growing with significance. If you look at the trade numbers, ASEAN Group grew at a really healthy high growth rate of 5.7% in the last year. And we are the fifth largest economic entity around the world. And we are also growing increasingly connected with the rest of the trading blocs. China is the biggest trading partner of ASEAN. It's a mutual growth to be the #1 trading partner in the last year and probably the few years to come. We are now trading at about 18%, emerging as the largest trading partner as China. And we are also growing heavily in growth trade with the US and the EU. And intra-ASEAN growth itself has also been growing at a 22% rate in the last year. So all this is the background that things are growing really healthily. And that's been at the background of the COVID. It has really changed a lot of things and how we do things in supply chain, in trade, and a lot of the things are not going to go away. If you remember, during the COVID changes, there's a huge shortage of containers, and we are now facing a very disrupted supply chain because of all the various changes in trade practice. People are dismantling and rebuilding supply chain. There are also new trading practices and new trade patterns because of the new policies that are coming online in the last few years, such as RCEP. There are also new habits of consumers, like e-commerce, that's been truly accelerated because of COVID. And look at how we shop things online. It's not going to disappear. It's just going to accelerate. And all this having impact on a rather outdated supply chain network that we have built over the last few decades. Things like congested ports, things like some of the old warehousing network will need to be upgraded and innovated because of the new practice that we have. Just an interesting statistic to share with you, right? In China, in the last 18 months, the average trucking distance has reduced from 500 kilometers to only 200. And that's because people are demanding more flexible and responsive orders from our e-commerce suppliers. And similar trends are happening around ASEAN and other countries. And as we all know, there's a rising tension between China and the US, and a lot of people are looking at de-risking from the original manufacturing centers and ecosystem that are built in China. There are a lot of new trade policies that are coming up that facilitate more free trade practices and free trade supply chain around the regions. They also look at different type of end-to-end costs that are now getting more expensive because of things that were happening in the last few years. So look at the survey. There are many people who are now moving away from China to different parts of the world, and ASEAN being the biggest beneficiary of that. About 25% of the relocation happened from China into ASEAN. There's another 10% or so going to Mexico. But equally, East Asia and India also benefiting from this shift. And what does that really mean for us? If you look at the shifting pattern across different sectors, we see a huge number of sectors going to Vietnam, going to Thailand, going to Malaysia, some because of the original center of excellence that they already built in those countries. Some are principals that are looking for alternative manufacturing location to ease the import and export embargoes and trades and all that being placed on them because they are originally placed in China. So what it means is that ASEAN has to really take in the benefits of rejiggering a supply chain, rebuilding ecosystem that can supply to build and all these principles. And we also believe that this is actually the opportunity for ASEAN because this shift will really enhance the building of ecosystem with principles of manufacturers, but also including the infrastructure built in the country, in the region here. So here I want to introduce Smart Growth Connect with you. It is an ASEAN Legacy Project that was started in 2018. And the idea is that we want to build a smart and concentrated technology and innovation center of logistics nodes at each of the ASEAN states here. And of course, each country has different level of technological and human capital sophistication. But equally, if you can leverage the resources, potential, and efficiency that's built because of a network, the whole region will benefit. So we started with one location in Singapore, with the called Fusionaris supply chain. And this where in one building, we put together traditional warehouses, we put together innovation automation with ASRS, together with a frozen storage, together with e-commerce supply chain capabilities, as well as interconnectivity with the region. And that's a really first starting point. And then subsequently, we moved to Vietnam and then Cambodia. And it's all hinged on the concept of multimodal logistics. So for some of our colleagues who are familiar with the concept of multimodal logistics, it's really risen from the demands that we are growing many diversity of cargoes. So because of the diversity of the ecosystem, we're handling cargoes of different sizes, different packagings, and also we are so battling with the growth in volume. So complexity and volume both demands a new way of thinking. And it's no longer in a stage where we can have long lead time and long supply chain, because all the consumers are asking for are now flexibility, smaller order size, huge variety of SKU, because we're demanding new trends that they are now looking for. So this is really important for the supply chain sector to make sure that we can handle all the goods and all the items with a new level of efficiency. And that means minimize double handling, triple handling, minimize trucking distances, and really rethink how the lean and agile supply chain can be built in one location. And that means that we have to be able to accept goods from overseas, from locally manufacturing partners, and also build in new modern logistics services that were not feasible in the past. Give you a quick example, for instance. Now, with the advent of IoT and a tracking capability, one can track the whole life cycle of vaccines, all the way from manufacturer to storage and to the point of application. And all the data, temperature variations, and handling will be visible via the cloud analytics. And this is a kind of new supply chain that can be enabled with new smart infrastructure across the region. Multimodal ports, superports, require 4 key enablers. The first one is technology. So as I mentioned, choosing the right type of technology automation to replace manual operation, replace low efficiency work is very key. And it's something that we can rebuild from ground up because of the new superport locations that we have. The use of big data and analytics give us a much better visualization across global supply chain data, from shipping points across ports into inland logistics via multimodal, all the way to the points of consumption. And it creates a lot of ability for manufacturers to forecast trends in shipments, forecast trends in good renewal and new models, and also avoid the complication of mishandling, etc. The third enabler is to have the right people to operate the technology and the data analysis that we have. So how to train and reskill and upskill operators and workers from other sectors to help them move into the modern supply chain is a key enabler for all the multimodal projects to work. And last but not least is connectivity. Choosing the right location, connecting to the right ports and current infrastructures is another important part. And underlying all this is the important partnership and support from local governments, from local partners, as well as the regulations approval. Because of doing new things, we'll be actually challenging and asking authorities to rethink how to regulate a lot of supply chain, shipping, and practices. So now let me go into 2 of the Superport projects that's already up and running in line. So the first one was launched in 2020 under the ASEAN Summit. It was launched in Vietnam. It was subsequently endorsed and built. So we're now in a point where we have a location in the province of Vinh Phuc in northern Vietnam. And talk about connectivity and location. This port is located 10 minutes away from the airport, 40 minutes away from Hanoi City. It's within 150 kilometers from the border with China and just under 250 kilometers from the port of Haiphong. So this is really a true connectivity location where you can put in air freight, sea freight, trucking, railway together. And it's also a location where a lot of the manufacturing companies are located. A lot of the electronics manufacturers, high-end manufacturing are all located in this new area. And they're leveraging the benefits of having a new, efficient, multimodal transport that's available to them. And this is what a multimodal port, superport looks like. So basically, it is a location infrastructure park where we can combine warehousing with value-add services. We have got new innovation like off-airport cargo terminal, which is the first phase that came online this year. And we're also going to build into railway cargo handling with ICD operation, etc. And of course, there'll also be a commercial and retail center for the operators who can actually build and implement their other digital initiatives and also administrative actions there. So just a highlight to show you how it works, right? One of our electronic sector clients basically pioneered this concept with us. So instead of having to clear customs at a congested airport terminal, we can now do all the activities in the location that's located in our Vietnam superport. So all the way from handling goods from the factory, consolidation, handling of airway bills, and then forming and loading ULD cargoes. It can all take place off-site. So actually take away all the bottlenecks and congestion that happen in old airports. And in this new facility, there's also room for expansion, right? So basically, all the goods that came from factory, or can also consolidation from multiple units that are coming from overseas, can all happen in the same place. And it can be shipped and formed and shipped right away to the aircraft. And this is a huge breakthrough, and we're the first off-air cargo terminal in Vietnam. And customers are already utilizing this benefit. And at the same time, we are expanding the facility in bonded warehouses, in on-site custom services, so that more and more imported components can be stored and they can carry out their postponement activities or just-in-time shipping, VMI hubs, etc., to supply to their manufacturing principals in northern Vietnam. The second project that's already been kicked off last year is a similar project called the Phnom Penh Logistics Complex, which is situated just outside the city of Phnom Penh, capital of Cambodia. It was also launched under the ASEAN Summit last year. It's a similar configuration where it will combine manufacturing, warehousing, ICD, and other innovation in the location. And the location of this facility is very similar in terms of the great connectivity in the country. It's located just at the doorstep of the new Phnom Penh Sihanoukville Expressway, less than half an hour to the Kampong Speu Special Economic Zone, and about 45 minutes from the airport. So this is actually already at the stage where we are finishing up the feasibility. Land is in the process of being acquired, and the construction will be able to start sometime in the next 12 months. So this is all very exciting time to build in this important logistics superport nodes for the ASEAN region. And what's coming up next is that obviously we are also looking at building similar infrastructure in Indonesia, and we are already in the process of the early stage preparation with a really large local partner in the Pelindo Group. We do not stop only at 3. We are going to look at how to expand the SGConnect Smart Growth Connect with other ASEAN member states here. And we're happy to see our friends here from Vientiane. We hopefully that the SGConnect can also work with the Vientiane Logistics Park, which is a great infrastructure in the country. We are also looking at other countries at various degrees of sophistication and needs to make sure that the supply chain can be innovated and rebuilt to welcome the new phase of growth here. In terms of partnership, what we're looking for, we are not looking at just investment partner. Of course, it's most welcome. We're also looking at people who can operate the facility together with us, with ICD operations, with railway cargo, and especially the digital sector. One of the key criteria for success for the new supply chain is the digital side in addition to the physical side. So we are going to involved in digital trade, digital trust-based certificates, and also the other trade practice that build on inter-exchange of digital ideas. So we also welcome partners who are in the digital innovation. And eventually the idea is that we hope that the new supply chain network will benefit and enable social developments in ASEAN countries, where a lot more small and medium-sized enterprise will benefit from a lot more cost-effective, integrated, and sustainable supply chain so that we can champion the growth for the region in the next decades to come. So thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Please give a big round of applause to Eric Chan.